here at Kitchen Table, we're really focused on sourcing locally and using the bounty of our local environment. Steak is obviously something that is very pronounced here in Omaha and Nebraska and the Midwest in general. So we're going to start with a non-traditional steak. We're using a bistro steak, or it's sometimes called a terrace major or a mock tender. It's from the shoulder clawed of the animal, and it's very similar in shape and size to a miniature tenderloin, where it's got a longer piece. This is about a third of a steak, a 5-ounce portion. The first thing we're going to do, we're going to trim the silver skin. So you just kind of.
Where did you get your steaks from, Chef?
They came from Omaha Steaks, of course.
Wonderful.
So we're going to trim that silver skin off, and you just kind of want to angle the blade upward so that you're cutting the skin and not the meat away. And a lot of people will just throw this away, but there's a lot of really good flavor and product in there. So what we like to do is we use it as a baste to finish the steak. So I've got a pot up here, which I'll bring down. And this has about a half a pound of butter, a can of beer,
Ooh.
an onion, just some salt and pepper. I've got the tops and ends of some tomatoes, and then I use all of these silver skin bits and just pop them in there and let it simmer over low heat while I do the rest of the cooking, and then I can finish the steak with that base, and you're adding the flavor back in. Now the really cool thing about this is when you slow cook that silver skin and those tendons, they tenderize. So you're basically braising those at the same time. So after you're done with all of this, cook off some noodles and toss this through, and it's delicious. You get more and more meals out of one little 5-ounce steak.
So you can eat everything in that?
Everything.
Oh, wow.
Absolutely.
Especially the butter.
Especially the butter. Okay, so we've got our steak trimmed up. We got the silver skin off. We're going to do a little salt and pepper. And we always want to do salt and pepper early in the process so that the salt through osmosis can travel all the way through all the cellular structure of the meat and flavor from the outside in. So we've got that. We're going to rest it. You always want to cook your steaks starting at room temperature, so bring them out a little bit early. It's going to allow them to cook more evenly throughout. All right.
Chef Colin and Kitchen Table, one of our many local restaurants that specialize in that farm to fork. So he's telling you where all these ingredients come from. You can find that here at Kitchen Table and many others all around the world.
Absolutely, and being in the, in the center of the heartland, there's farms all around here, more and more popping up every day. There's so many beautiful ingredients to work with, and we really want to show at Kitchen Table that you don't have to do a fine dining thing to do farm to table, to really treat yourself well and eat great food with great ingredients. All right, so for supper, and this is a little more decadent, we've got, these are a couple of those little bistro fillets that were poached in bacon fat. We cure our own bacon here in house, so we save all the fat, and about 150 degrees for about 5 minutes on a small steak like this. You're going to have a nice rare steak, which we're then going to finish on the grill to bring that temperature up. We're going to serve that with a couple of fun things. We've got some local corn. We've got some new potatoes. I'm going to put the corn straight on the cast iron and just let the husk burn off, the silk and everything. We're just going to let it all burn. The husk and the silk are going to protect the corn, so you're not going to get burnt corn. You're going to get really sweet, caramelized, steamed corn that's going to steam right in the husk. I'm going to pull that steak off and let it rest. Okay, and so then with these steaks that have poached and rested, we're going to pop those on the grill for just a second, just to get some nice marks and bring the temperature up throughout. Now, Matt, if I could get your help with chopping up a couple of these potatoes.
I can do that.
Oh, Matt, don't lose a finger.
Not with the duster. Right here.
There you go, that'll work. And just put them in there as you're finished. And then what I'm going to have you do is you get 3 or 4 of those potatoes cut up, is zest a little bit of that lemon in there, and put a pinch of the thyme right on top there with them.
Chef Matt to the rescue. So you poach the steaks in bacon
Bacon fat, absolutely. So we like I said, we cure our bacon here in house. So, and we cook it slow and low in the oven down here. So we end up with probably, a good quart of bacon fat a day. So we have a lot of bacon fat around.
Sure. What a great use for it.
Well, we always, like I said before, we try to use things in as many ways as possible. We compost, we use all the scraps of things, and we actually have a really cool thing up on the wall that you guys should look at. It's a local artist who made pictures out of food scraps. So
Cool.
it's really cool.
Goes right along with our good art scene here in Omaha.
There you go.
Yep. Bringing it into the restaurants. Why not?
All right, so we're all set on these.
I believe so, Chef.
Beautiful little lemon and thyme. We're gonna hit these with a little salt, pepper, and olive oil. Just really simple, and I just blanch these potatoes for about 20 minutes in simmering water and let them cool down. So they're seasoned nicely. We're gonna add a little bit of olive oil, and then I've got this pan. We're just gonna get those potatoes right in there with a little bit of extra olive oil and get a good sear on them. Now you can see that corn is really starting to burn off a little bit.
You don't have to worry about popcorn coming out of that, do you?
No, we don't. I don't plan to burn it that long. There we go. Kind of let those potatoes fry. I'm gonna go ahead and pull this back out of the way. We'll bring our dinner plate down. I'm just gonna keep it really simple as a meat and two veg kind of thing with the potatoes and the corn, but you can really get as creative as you want with these plates.
And so you didn't season the corn or anything? You
No.
just put it on there.
I took like 2 layers of the husk off.
I'm sorry. I didn't
No,
know
you're
that.
fine, not at all. So I'm just gonna pull those off and let them rest while everything else finishes up. Crank that up high. Nice thing about a cast iron too is you don't need to use all your burners. You can just set that back there and let it brown away, and the temperature is going to be really nice and even. Whereas on a straight burner, you might have some hot spots and some low spots.
So you definitely recommend using cast iron if you can.
I use cast iron for just about everything. And yeah, if it's not cast iron, it's French iron. For the French iron is really hot and fast on the stove top. Alright. Go ahead and let that burn off. And then while that's all cooking, I've got what I put together here is just a little compound butter. It's got a little dill, it's got our house popcorn spice, a little garlic and shallot, which is just kind of a nice finish on top of those steaks. So what I'm gonna do, because you can never have enough butter,
No, I agree.
is just throw a little slap of butter on top of these and kind of let that melt in while they rest.
And how long do you recommend that you let your steak rest?
Well, these have rested twice.
Okay.
Generally speaking, I would say at least 5 to 10 minutes.
Okay, before serving.
Right,
Okay.
right. Yeah, you want to pull them off the grill, let everything relax, let all those juices redistribute throughout the meat.
Okay.
That's why, like, if you cut a steak right away off the grill, you're going to see that blood run out all over the plate. Whereas if you let it rest for your 10 minutes, you're going to have that nice clean cut where all those juices have redistributed through the meat.
Nice.
Really left your meat.
Gotta have a clean steak. Yeah, I wanna see how you pour the corn on it, too.
Okay, I'm gonna reach down here and grab a brush really
Okay.
fast. And we're gonna use some of that baste. It's just gonna add a little bit more acidity to it.
Cow.
Yeah, I like fat, guys. I like fat a lot.
Yeah.
It's tasty.
It's all good fat, right? Isn't fat good for you
It
nowadays?
very much is. Okay, so now we got a nice little bit of brown on the potatoes. I'm gonna go ahead and throw a little cilantro in there too. You can use parsley or thyme or basil or whatever you like. I just like to use a lot of fresh herbs, especially in the summertime. And I add the herbs at the very end so that they don't burn, they maintain their green, and they really just brighten up the flavor. So you're gonna go ahead and put those potatoes on. Corn's just about there.
Wonderful.
All right, we'll go ahead and plate up our steaks.
This is a meal for one, right?
This is a meal for one. One hungry person. You can do one steak, you can do, you know. All right, so now we've got our nice burned corn husk. We're just gonna kind of peel that back away.
Wow. You must have really strong hands.
Well, yes.
I would have gloves on.
Could feel the heat from here.
It's
This is
definitely
a first
warm.
for me. That looks fantastic.
So you pull all that back and then go straight back onto the grill,
Oh, okay.
and that's where the silk all burns off. And you don't have to worry about, you know, I like to floss after I eat, not while I'm eating.
Yes.
So we'll get all
We in
that burnt.
Nebraska, we're known for our beef and our corn. So this
There
is
you
the
go.
perfect Nebraska meal. Oh my gosh, the silk does come right
Just
off.
comes right off.
That is way better than peeling it and trying to get every little hair off.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Clear as fire.
And then when you burn all that off too, it kind of makes for a cool presentation.
Yeah.
You get those kind of burnt tips.
And your fire is good.
This is a good outside grill thing. I wouldn't do this in the kitchen at home.
This is your first time. Just be prepared. Now we're good. Yes.
There you go. Just set that right on there. A little more butter on the corn, because why not?
Of course.
Just gonna brush that out. Finish with a little salt. And there's dinner. There you go. You know, this is a farm plate for sure. New potatoes, sauteed with a little bit of thyme and lemon zest. We've got the corn on the cob burned off on the cast iron grill, finished with a little compound butter and sea salt, and then the steaks themselves are poached in bacon fat
Yum.
and finished with that compound butter and sea salt as well. So
It all looks wonderful. Thank you, Chef Colin, for
Of course.
bringing a taste of Nebraska to everyone that's here with us today.
thank you all for coming in and sharing kitchen table with the world.
You won't leave hungry in Omaha.
There you go.